Welcome to the Orion Sportcast podcast, the most refreshing analysis, insight, and opinions in the world of sports. Here are your hosts, Josh Egan and Brandon Waterhouse.
All right, welcome back to the Orion Sportcast. We are on episode 6. We're feeling good. We're excited. We had a good Monday night football game last night. It was exciting right down to the final play. Did you watch it?
The final play. You were watching the game pretty actively. I stopped watching it after the halftime when I mentioned it to you, and then you seemed to pick it up after. So you tell me.
Yeah, I watched the end. I watched the last 5 minutes of the third quarter and then the whole fourth quarter. But the most important part of the game was the final 2 minutes because the Giants were able to bring it within 2 with a touchdown. And then they almost converted the 2-point play, but the ball was thrown late by Daniel Jones, and the receiver wasn't able to get to it because he overran his route. And the ball hit the defender on the back, and there was a flag initially thrown on the play, but it was kind of overturned after the officials discussed it. So the Giants were not able to tie up the game in the final. I think 27 seconds were left, and then they tried the onside kick. That didn't work, and then the game was over. But it was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, you know what? Like I said, I guess we have to cover. I want to mention a couple things. Is that me and Josh and I actually had what we thought was a podcast going yesterday on Monday, but we quickly canceled it just due to such a lack of emotion, energy, and honestly, content. Literally, and I'd say an hour later after this is Tuesday, yesterday was Monday, we tried filming. Like a bunch of new news came out as well that we just felt like we could cover. So we just canceled that, vetoed that episode right away. And to go on to your point about what I was mentioning yesterday in that unseen podcast was that there was a big expectation for this to be like a blowout almost. And yesterday I was wearing my jersey and I was really excited, and I was like, you never know, the Giants seem to have Tom Brady's playbook, but they did. And then rookie mistakes. Honestly, sorry. Daniel Jones has a lot of turnovers to his name, and I think they also made a stat about that. I sent it to you, like just the most turnovers since 98 in a starting quarterback situation. It was a stat situation like that, but it just goes to show that Daniel Jones is just completely inconsistent.
Right. The quarterbacks last night were pretty comparable performance-wise. Brady threw 40. Sorry, he was 28 for 40 for 279 yards. And Daniel Jones was 25 for 41 with 256 yards. But the difference there was he threw 2 interceptions. Brady didn't throw 1. So there was your difference. It was a pretty good game. Definitely closer than I thought it would be. And I think that gives a little bit of hope to Giants fans because they were competing. And that's what you want from your team, is to be able to compete in games where, especially, Monday Night Football, that's kind of a primetime game. So it's nice they didn't get blown out.
Right. At least it was something to watch. I saw it was trending. It was just at least it was a game to watch. Mm-hmm. It made something out of it.
Right.
We're going to be releasing this maybe tonight or Wednesday morning, but we can cover what happened on Sunday football because there was still a lot of interesting scores. Josh, what do you have for us?
Not necessarily the score of the game, but just the whole game in general, which was the Cowboys and Eagles. The Cowboys quarterback did not look good. He is a third or fourth string quarterback they had in there. And Danucci. It is not looking good I almost said Cleveland. It is not looking good in Dallas. So
Jerry World.
Yeah, Jerry World. They are in trouble. And you know what? They almost could just say, fuck it, let's tank. But they might get into the playoffs with like 5 games. That division is so bad. And
so at least that's a positive being in the NFC East right now is that although sub 500 records are holding first place position, even people at the bottom of the division have a chance to win a couple games, go on literally a 3-game streak, and all of a sudden you're in playoff contention. So it's interesting in terms of that. But I mean, NFL has so much more to offer these days than the East, and I honestly don't even care to talk about it.
Well, just looking at it, so we're going to talk about it. If the Giants had won last night, they would have moved into second. But the Cowboys lost yesterday, but they are only one win out of first. And the Eagles are leading that division with a 3-4-1 record. Like, if the Cowboys can win 2 or 3 games for the rest of their season, they could squeak in. That's just how bad the division is. You got the Eagles at 3-4-1, the Washington football team.
Yeah, but I'd rather see like Daniel Jones play than a third string take him. So I don't even care.
Right. And Dalton's out again on Sunday. He won't be playing. He's on the COVID list. That broke today. So it's not promising out in Dallas. But it was, we were all wondering what was going to happen there, and they lost that game. I don't think anybody was really surprised. But, that was an interdivision game too, and they needed that win. They lost 23-9. And they had the Steelers up next, so that's not looking good. Another game this weekend, we have the Raiders and the Browns. The Browns lost this game 16-6, just a brutal game for them. I have a question for you with the Browns. Where do they go here now that Odell Beckham Jr. is not playing anymore?
Yeah, so you said they who'd they lose to over the weekend? The Raiders. So
the Raiders.
16-6, 10 points. You're really missing Odell, especially because Odell, he was like having some sort of like sense of resurgency almost, right? Like he was catching balls and getting touchdowns again, and he looked like he was feeling confident, at least up there. What would you say?
He looked to be finding his groove, I think.
Right. And so for like to have that really cut off really short from an injury is you can't see the potential pan out as you would like to. For the Browns as an organization, I mean, I know they have Jarvis Landry, I've mentioned a couple of times, but he's like not live or die, I guess. You have a quarterback who could, I mean, there couldn't be, he's not horribly inconsistent. And what are they at, 6-4?
They're 5-3. Yeah,
5-3. So it's like, what would you say? It's not necessarily tanking situation. Where are they at their? Where are they in their?
I believe
division?
they're second. I can just check that quickly for you. I believe they are second. But if Baker Mayfield even remotely shows up to this game, I think they win. He was 12 for 25 for 122 yards. They're in third, by the way, behind the Ravens and Steelers.
Wow.
And the Bengals are right on their tails too. That is in the AFC North.
AFC North.
Right. So so Baker Mayfield was 12 for 25, which is not the best.
In the yards.
He threw for 122 yards, but Kareem Hunt had 14 attempted rushing for 65. So he's only averaging 4.7 yards per rush there, which isn't good either. He hasn't shown up all season. And it's just not, Jarvis Landry, four receptions for 52 yards. I didn't think them losing Odell would hurt them as much as it appeared to in this game, because they didn't even get a touchdown.
Yeah.
Or they did. And or was this the game where? No, they didn't get a touchdown. Sorry, I was getting confused. Because I saw a highlight where the ball was like, the wind was really bad in this game, and the ball was going right. And it went left. So
I saw that video. Yeah, it was crazy.
But the Raiders aren't the best team, and you can't even get a touchdown against them. It's kind of concerning.
Of the AFC, let's move into the leader of not only the AFC but the last undefeated team in the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers. What do you have for us on the statistics in that last one they had? Who did they play?
The Pittsburgh Steelers. They had a very tough matchup this week. They were playing the Ravens. So the Ravens going into this were 5-1.
That was a big.
Steelers were 6-0. And the talk around this game was can Lamar Jackson get it done in big games? And the answer to this was no. He was 13 for 28 and he threw for 208 yards against Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. So Big Ben wasn't much better, surprisingly. He was 21 for 32 for 182 yards. The difference was the defense. That's what came down to it. And I don't think that this rules out Lamar Jackson as a big game player.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the best track record. He's 0-2 in the playoffs. He's 0-2 against the Chiefs, and now he couldn't get it done against Pittsburgh. And Baltimore really needed this win if they wanted to, be able to lock up that first place spot. And now they're 2 games behind the Steelers. So with a tough schedule coming up too. And Pittsburgh, it looks like you're just going to keep rolling. So that was a big game for them, and they just blew it. That final score was 28-24.
We'll stay in the AFC with the Bengals. They keep winning.
Well, I wouldn't say they keep winning, but they keep playing well.
Actually, you know what? You're right. That statement was a little misleading. I should say Joe Burrow keeps making headlines.
Yeah. So the Bengals are. I'm not a Bengals fan, but I don't hate.
But I'm not a hater.
And I kind of want them to do well because I like Joe Burrow a lot. Just watching him play and the way he interacts with the media, I think he is he's a media sweetheart, and he's easy to like, which makes the Bengals easy to like. So they played the Titans, and they beat the Titans 31-20, which I did not see coming because the Titans have looked really strong this year. Ryan Tannehill had an okay game for the Titans, throwing 30 attempts and completing 18 of them for 233 yards. He did throw a touchdown. But Joe Burrow, 26 for 37, threw for 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's a really good stat line, especially against a really strong Tennessee team. And just watching this game and the highlights of it, I saw the first and second quarter live, and I watched the highlights of the third and the fourth. I was getting LSU vibes from him. Like, he looked really comfortable, like he did in his final couple games with LSU. And I think, I don't think Cincinnati's too far off here because they've had some close games. They've had one tie. They played a couple games down to the last possession. They almost beat the Browns. That came down to the last possession on opening night. So I think he's a really promising quarterback. I think just like Josh Allen, he's going to take time to develop and grow into the game. The NFL and college ball is 2 totally different situations and a mentality. So watching the Bengals, I don't think they're too far off. I wouldn't say they make the playoffs next year, but maybe the year after that, once some more of their players can develop and they get a couple free agents. And as for the Titans, I just think it was an off week for them, to be honest. They got beat by the better team.
So speaking of, the AFC again, we mentioned the powerhouse Steelers, but a powerhouse still the reigning champs, the Chiefs. They beat up on the Jets. They had a big spread. What do you have to say?
I wasn't watching this game for the entertainment factor. I was watching this game for
the embarrassment factor.
Not necessarily. Well, you know what? I told a lie there. I was watching it the entertainment factor, and I wanted to see how big they could beat the spread by. So for me, this game, it wasn't the Chiefs versus the Jets. It wasn't the Jets versus the Chiefs. It was the Jets versus the spread, or the Chiefs versus the spread. I wanted to see if the spread was predicted properly. And for those of you that don't know what the hell I'm talking about, the spread is a handicap on the game. So I believe the spread going in was the Jets were not favored. The Jets were the underdogs by like 19 and a half points, which is just insane for a football game. And the final score was 35-9. So the spread was not covered. KC beat that. It was an embarrassing game for the Jets. They're a joke of a franchise. And I know I say this every episode, and I'm going to keep saying it. The coaching staff has no idea what they're doing. The trade deadline has come and gone, and Sam Darnold didn't get moved, so I guess that's not happening. But he was 18 for 30 for 133 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, though. And Patrick Mahomes had lunch and pretty much was just feeding on the Jets because he was 31 for 42, threw for 416 yards and 5 touchdowns, which is incredible.
Right.
So just embarrassing for the Jets. And the only reason I was paying attention to that game, because I think we could all predict the winner for that one. You can kind of compare this game and last night's game, and the fact you were watching it for the spread. It's just last night's game, the spread was 12.5 going in, but it turned into an entertaining game. This spread was 19.5, and it wasn't entertaining really, but you were just kind of watching it to see what would happen with the spread. So I don't know many people that put money on this game, but it was still interesting to watch and track.
So rounding up this week in the AFC, we got division leaders with Kansas City sitting at 7-1, and then we have Tennessee sitting at 5-2, tied though with Indianapolis at 5-2, and then you have Pittsburgh at 7-0.
Yeah. And there was.
What do you have to say on Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks?
Not much, to be honest.
6-1 in the NFC West, holding a strong position in the AFC overall as the league as well.
Yeah.
With the NFC looking pretty weak amongst Tampa Bay sitting at 6-2, and then their only other competition is 5-2 New Orleans. Seattle and Russell Wilson have pretty strong competition, although in Arizona and the LA Rams. Do you think the LA Rams and Arizona will keep up the competition, or will Seattle pull away eventually?
Not a chance. Seattle's going to win that division. It might be
right. And you know what? That's what I was thinking as I asked that question, but I really wanted a second opinion.
Not a chance. I haven't seen many Seattle games. Like, that division is never really on my radar, to be honest. And it hasn't been this year, especially with all like the storylines with the Buccaneers and the Browns and the Bengals.
So the Seattle Seahawks just beat the 49ers by 10 points on Sunday, by the way.
Yeah, and that dropped the 49ers into last in that division. But that's a strong division, man.
Divisional matchup there. And I saw something, sorry to interrupt you, just to mention one last thing on the Seahawks, from my perspective, is I saw a stat that Russell Wilson has a huge Ironman streak and hasn't missed a start in a lot of years. So I saw that. It might have been 5 plus 10. I don't know how long he's been in the league, but he hasn't missed a stat, that kind of stat in Ironman. I'm looking right now for you, but you keep going. Sorry, again.
I was just saying, I'm just looking at the standings here, and the Niners are in last with a 500 win percentage, which actually isn't that bad. I think they are, just looking at the stats here, they are the strongest division in the NFL, which they are. So that could be entertaining down the stretch, but I think the Seahawks are a better team there. So, you know, what was I saying? Good quarterback, good overall team, and they will they'll probably just plow to the end there. I don't see the Cardinals or the Rams being able to catch them.
Russell Wilson hasn't missed a game in 8 NFL seasons.
Wow.
He hasn't missed offensive snaps. Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that kind of flies under the radar, but you also never hear too many bad things about him. So,
right.
I mean, we're also pretty late on the NFL news today. It's Tuesday when this gets released, but there's not too much else we really want to cover unless you got some last minute thoughts on the NFL.
Yeah, Patriots Bills. The Patriots have had the Bills numbers since like 2007. And the Bills beat them this weekend 24-21. And this kind of led into a whole story of Cam Newton not playing well. And Bill Belichick had some comments where he pretty much said, well, what do you expect? We sold out, won 3 championships, and now we can only afford a $1 million quarterback. What do you expect? Which was kind of rare to see from a coach who has generally been quiet and shy with the media and not giving up any information whatsoever.
It was a little bit of a surprise. I would say that.
Yeah, I thought the comments were odd and out of character, but I can see why he's now doing this, because he doesn't have his lover boy in Tom Brady, and he can't.
He needs to make excuses.
Right, he needs to make excuses and say, "Oh well, you know, Cam's not playing that well." And Cam Newton had a good start to the season, and they're just falling off here, and he's got nobody to go to. That last play of that game, they pretty much went, "Okay, Cam, let's see what you got," and he tried to do a running back position.
So interesting. Mixed into that quote from Bill Belichick, I think something was mentioned about like the fact they have a really expensive team right now, and that an excuse for their results is the fact they have only invested $1 million in their quarterback position.
Yeah. Just that dynasty's over there. The Pats now sit at 2-5. I don't think they're making the playoffs. Honestly, I don't feel bad for them because they've had enough success over the last.
I don't feel bad for the Patriots and Bill Belichick. I don't feel bad, but I feel bad for. I like Cam Newton as an individual and his hustle. I hope he can figure it out for himself and make himself have respectable, so he can get a job after this. But I don't care for the Bill Belichick Patriots, honestly.
Well, his problem is he's got no weapons there. Like, I don't know if you saw it, that last play, they pretty much ran a play designed where everybody on the field was protecting him, and it was all up to him to get it down the field. And he was doing the job of a running back, and he's running down the left side of the field, and he fumbled it because he was holding the ball in his right arm, and all the defense had to do was swoop in from the inside and attack the ball. If he'd have been holding it correctly, or the correct position and running the ball, it would have been fine and no fumble. But just mistakes like that are costing the Pats right now, and it's because he's got nobody to throw to. So they didn't do anything at the trade deadline either, so they're going to have to continue forward with what they have. And I don't think it's going to be good enough to catch the Dolphins, who are at 4-3. So we'll see. But a big part of this is the Bills are now 4-0 in their division, which is huge.
One thing, 2 hours ago, I don't know if we covered this, but Andy Dalton was put on the COVID-19 reserve list.
Yeah, I said that at the beginning.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so the Cowboys have DiNucci or Da Vinci or whatever the hell his name is playing again. So, yeah, that'll be interesting.
Moving on.
We do have a guest coming up we have to get to in 9 minutes. So let's get to something we can do quickly. Shall we? I think we can do the NBA. You want to do that?
Yeah, you know what? Let's do the NBA real quickly. I guess we can touch on it as well. But a couple quick hitters on the NBA would be the draft is coming up on November the 18th. Mm-hmm. We have seen internet videos of Donald Trump rallies where LeBron James has been chanted in shame for some reason and brought up in political discussion for some reason.
Well, for obvious reasons, it brings the most attention. And the election is tonight. At the time of this recording, we don't know who has won. We'll start seeing the results in about 40 minutes. So I doubt any news is going to break while we're recording about the election, to be honest. But if it is, we'll let you know.
So one of the major things that's been going on in discussions around the NBA is how the players and Adam Silver feel about returning on what Adam Silver feels is the desirable date of December 22nd. So by returning on December 22nd, this would allow players, the league, and I guess broadcast revenues to make $500 to $1 billion more than what it would be if the players get what they want and start on Martin Luther King Day,
which was, I think, January 16th, I believe, right, off the top of my head.
So Martin Luther King Jr. Day is
I think it's Jan 16 or Jan 18.
Right. His birthday is January 15th. I don't know if that.
Oh, maybe it was the 15th then. It's around there.
Let me ask. I'm looking it up right now. This year, Monday, January 20th. So maybe the NBA season has the potential to start on Monday, January 20th is what the players are pushing for.
There's been so many dates thrown around.
This it would lose the league, like I said, $500 to $1 billion in revenue if they don't get what Adam Silver pushes for, which is December 22nd. And my quick personal opinions on this, excuse me, after watching a few podcasts this morning from ESPN and a couple other professional analysis, would be that there is a half of the league, 15 to 16 teams that haven't played good basketball with competitive nature in what will be 6 to 8 months from when the season starts to when some of these teams' season ended. You have 8 teams that didn't make it even to the bubble that haven't been playing since March. You have 6 teams that went to the bubble but didn't even make the playoffs that have not been playing since early July. And then you have 8 teams consecutively coming after that, leaving the bubble as the playoffs continue, which leaves you to 2 to 4 teams that have to stay in the bubble for an extended period of time, which would mean a 4.5 to 3.5 month turnover. But for the other teams, it leaves like 6 to 8 months, and this is too much time for people to continue to push off. I think that the fact that all the people mixed in time and the professionalism rather mixed into the NBA and how players train themselves, I believe that they should be more than ready for an early start piece of the season. And if they choose to personally sit out, this gives time for bench players, and this ruins their individual stats. So I'm not worried about that. I hope that it's not an issue that results in like a stall in talks. You know what I mean? And like an even further date from MLK Day. But if MLK Day is the latest, then that's what it is, and that's okay. But December 22nd leaves lots of revenue for the NBA to market on Christmas and around New Year's. So for the NBA, I think it's exciting to get the fans thinking about something coming more sooner rather than later. But this is what's going on in the NBA world. One quick hitter, the local. You have something to say on that?
Yeah, just a quick comment on people who may not understand why there's so much money lost between a December 22nd date and a January 20th date. And some people who may not be aware of this stuff or have a good understanding of it are saying, well, it's only a month. Why would they be losing up to $1 billion? The NBA TV deal is the second most lucrative deal behind the NFL, and it's not by much, surprisingly. There's 82 games times 30 teams on TV, all pretty much for 9 months of the year. The deal is worth up to, I think, $12 billion, and that deal needs to be renewed soon. So the NBA doesn't get paid if these games aren't on TV. If the NBA doesn't get paid, the players don't get paid. So it's going to come down to money. They will start on December 22nd because the players will not want a 30% cut or whatever it is.
Personally as well.
Yeah. So if you were just wondering why they would lose so much money, it comes down to the TV deal. One thing they also don't want to compete with is the Olympics coming up. They want to be wrapped up by the second week of June because they got the Summer Olympics in Tokyo.
So starting, right, sorry. Yeah. So just to hit that quickly, is starting on December 22nd will leave time for the high athletes of the USA and any other countries that won't be playing NBA basketball time to get to the Olympics and train. Otherwise, a later start would mean no gold medal for the US because they have no competitive team and less players available for their national teams. Right.
I would go the other way on that. I still think if they started on January 20th or 22nd, whatever it is, they'd still wrap up in the second week of June, but it would just be a shortened season. Yeah, it would be a shortened season.
Right, which is another revenue problem as well.
Right. So, yeah, that's going to be a interesting story to watch develop because that date is sneaking up. That would mean training camps would have to open like December 1st. So we'll keep an eye on that and update you as the situation goes through. I think that's all that kind of happened in the NBA. Just a fun fact locally.
As a local Raptors fans.
Yeah, go ahead. You can do it.
Just the Raptors having their 25th anniversary of the first Raptors game. The Raptors, okay, I can't say the Raptors, but the Toronto community had the Huskies that were actually a team way back when, played against the New York Knickerbockers in the first NBA game. However, the Knickerbockers, really good, turned into the Knicks. And then you have the Toronto Huskies that aren't necessarily related to the Raptors maybe, but they do throwbacks sometimes out of those blue ones with the Husky on them that are actually pretty nice.
I love it. I love those jerseys.
That was a long time ago, but in terms of the franchising by the Raptors, that was purple and red, and that was 25 years ago around this date. So we have that to celebrate, and we have one ring to show for it, which was probably the most exciting thing to happen in Canadian sports in a long time.
And they won that game, right?
Sorry?
They won that game, their first game.
As the Raptors or the Knickerbocker verse one?
As the Raptors.
I could not remember the score of the first game. If you do, you might.
I'll look it up early. I know. I believe they won. I just don't remember the score. It was played at the Sky Dome on November 3rd, 1995 against the New Jersey Nets at the Sky Dome in front of 33,000. Oh, that's right. They played at the Sky Dome. 306 fans. So that's when it was. That's when it took place. Okay. We are going to just take a quick pause because we have an interview coming up.
This interview will directly lead into current NHL discussion as well as personal stories that we have for the elected guest.
Right. So we're going to take a quick break, but for you guys, it will literally be 2 seconds. So see you on the other side. All right, guys, welcome back. We are joined by a very special guest today. Do you want to introduce yourself and kind of tell us who you are, what you do, all that good stuff?
Yeah, for sure. First off, guys, thanks for having me. A couple people showed me about the podcast. They were awesome. So it's an honor to be on today. So yeah, my name's Jake Ventresca. I've been intern and working with the Bulldogs now. This is the 4th season once it starts, I guess. And I've been doing a little bit of everything for them. So.
Nice. So let's just get right into it. So you work with the Hamilton Bulldogs in the OHL, for those who don't know. And that is a junior league. It's kind of a feeder into the NHL and the AHL. And that's where the NHL drafts out of. It's for players between the ages of 16 to 20, I believe, is the overager age.
Yeah, you can be 21 after.
You can be 21 after. And then they do allow some exceptional status, although it's very rare. So you could have a 15-year-old in there. But so how did you get that position and what brought it around? And what's your responsibilities with them?
Yeah, wait, Jake, how old are you again? Did you mention that?
Right now I'm 19 years old.
Right. Okay. So how old were you? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Say how old you were when you got the position as well.
Yeah. So when I started, it was kind of a cool story. So I was in grade 11 and I took the co-op class at school. And the teacher kind of came around and asked everyone what they wanted to do. And I just wanted to do hockey. So no one's ever really done that before. So it was kind of something new for me and her. So we first tried the Leafs, didn't really hear anything back from them. So didn't really get discouraged, kept trying. We tried the Marlies. I think I heard a few things from them. Steelheads, we talked to them a bit. And Hamilton, I talked to them on the phone. And they were just kind of starting up because this was 4 years ago. And for those who don't know, they're a newer organization. So talked to them. They said, come by, check it out. I came and everything went well. And that's sort of how I got started. I walked in there as a 15-year-old and normally probably when you walk in to the office as a 15-year-old, everyone's like, who's this new guy, right?
Right.
Not many people are 15. They're all like 25 and above. So it's kind of cool. And they gave me a lot of respect and there's a lot of really good people there. So that's sort of how I started and it was awesome. So, yeah.
I love that story. And I just want to just kind of off track a little bit. That co-op program, that could be so valuable for students, as just shown here. Like I know you're a big hockey guy because we would talk in class about, hockey all the time. And that's a huge step, right? Because now you're in a front office of a team and you get to see the inner workings of how it works. So just kind of an off-topic thing that the co-op option, if you were considering it, there's an example right here of how it works. Just going back to the Bulldogs. So what type of things were you doing with them or are doing with them? Obviously, we're on a COVID lockdown right now. But can you just give us some examples of what you would do on a daily basis or just stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure. So I was at every game and went to the office twice a week. So every game, we'll start with game, I guess. Every game was sort of different, right? You never really know what's going to happen. I think if you talk to anyone in game day operations, they'll sort of tell you the same thing. Every game's different. But for the most part, before every game, I'd write game notes. So sort of a brief summary of what's going on in the OHL and around hockey, because not many media outlets get to the OHL. Normally when you turn on the TV, you see all NHL. So the people coming to our game aren't too familiar with what's going on. So we'll have in there would be like a little stat pack, who to watch, who's hot, prospects of each player, and everyone would come in. I'd sort of hand those out and they'd read them and everyone enjoyed them. Sometimes even scouts would would grab them and see what's going on. So that's the main thing I did every game. And also I did a lot of selling like used equipment and stuff like that for the foundation during intermissions.
Okay.
So that was kind of cool, helping out the foundation. And then every game day was kind of different. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, sounds like you're doing a lot of everything there, and that's really cool. But so you said you've been there for 4 years, and in 2018, the Bulldogs won the 2018 OHL championship. I believe that was the correct year.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? Because that's pretty cool to be, you were in the office, you were part of that team. What was that like?
Yeah, so it was cool. It was my first year. So I did my co-op program, and then when it expired, they told me that they wanted me to stick around. So
nice.
So I was more than happy, obviously, to stick around. Those opportunities don't come around often, so might as well take it. Then so I was doing basically what I said I was doing. We had a good team. It was my first year, so I didn't really know too much about hockey and how everything worked. But we picked up obviously a lot of great players at the deadline and made the team really good. And then that was a cool year because we won every series they won on home ice.
Oh, nice.
So that was pretty cool. I got to go to the Sioux too. We played in the finals against the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. For those who don't know, I got to fly out there and watch the games for the finals, and then we won the championship on home ice and sold out First Ontario Centre. And a lot of people from Hamilton know how big the First Ontario Centre is. Not many junior teams can sell that out. I think it has around.
So just some background. That arena is big because that was originally an AHL arena. The Hamilton Bulldogs used to play in the AHL as a farm team for the Montreal Canadiens, but now they are an OHL team. And they just use the same pretty much colors and jerseys and all that. So that's
right. So it was we had the Cops Coliseum where the AHL Bulldogs played in the red and blue, and then you had the First Ontario Centre where the black and yellow and gold Bulldogs were introduced, I'd say.
Right. Okay, that's I really wanted to ask you about that because that's a really cool experience.
Yeah.
So, did you get to go to the Memorial Cup with them too?
I was going to ask the same question. If you got to fly out west or out east, west?
Yeah. So I was going to do it, but I had a lot of school I had to deal with at home. So unfortunately I didn't go, but I really regret it. So
where was it? Do you remember? I forget.
It was in Regina. So
right out west.
I think a team won it that year that had been eliminated, and the hosts won it, I believe.
Yeah,
so, I think Jeremy Bracco scored the game winner. I think I might be messing that up completely, but anyway.
I think it was a different year.
Yeah. Anyway, so obviously we know how you got involved at such a young age and what you do there, but so what would you say is your favorite part of the job there? Like, is it watching the hockey games, interacting with people, interacting with the players?
The 2018 Memorial Cup was won by Katie Bathurst Titan.
I was totally thinking of the wrong year.
Sorry. And yes, what were you asking?
Yeah, just like your favorite part of the job and all that.
Yeah, so my favorite part of the job is I really like watching the minor hockey or the junior hockey players develop and see them succeed into the NHL eventually. So it's kind of cool because you see them come in as 16-year-olds, and then a few years later you see them playing in the NHL. So that's a really cool part, seeing them develop and succeed. But another one is probably meeting all the high up executives and stuff and hearing their stories, because my goal is sort of to be a GM one day. So when all those people walk in, sort of the role models for me. So it's cool to see those people, hear their stories, and talk to them. And that's probably the coolest part, my favorite part of the job, just hearing their stories, learning from them and seeing what they do.
So what's the coolest GM you've met?
The one I've talked to the most is probably Julien Brisebois. For those who don't know, he's
nice.
The GM of the Tampa Bay Lightning. talked to him a few times, and I've messaged him a couple times, so that was cool. He texted back, so he's probably the one that I've probably the coolest one. He told me his story. I can give you a brief summary of his story if you'd like.
Yeah, go for it, man.
He started in law school in Montreal, and he was helping with teams like their cap and arbitration and stuff like that. And then teams liked him, gave him an opportunity to come in, be their cap guy, and I think he started in Hamilton, but when they were an AHL team before, then moved over to Tampa to be the assistant GM and be their cap guy. And then obviously now he's the GM and he's a Stanley Cup champion now. So It's kind of cool, especially because he's kind of like most of us Humber students that don't really have a like hockey background, maybe have played or stuff like most GMs. So that's kind of a cool guy to look at and look up to.
Yeah. Speaking of Humber, you mentioned Humber, and Humber is where we all three of us somehow attend college in the same program as well. I was wondering how you maintained this program last year with your relationship with the Bulldogs, and how you plan on doing that throughout school. So, like, while you're a student, how do you facilitate being a member of the OHL Bulldogs?
Yeah, obviously it's a lot of time management, getting homework done and stuff like that, but hard work too, just planning your days. So make sure I have homework done before I go to school or before I go to the rink. Then that's basically it. Time management is really key to make sure you don't miss any due dates and you can go to the rink in time and stuff like that. So
I wouldn't be able to do that. I'd be like, I got to get to the rink. I got to watch the game. Yeah,
I'd bring your homework with you or something.
Or just not do it.
I want to ask you about like your personal hockey history. Like, where did you ever play growing up, or where was that?
Yeah, growing up, I played in Burlington for the Burlington Bulldogs, so they're a minor hockey team, and I sort of did that all the way up till minor midget. Then it stopped. So once it stopped, I sort of hung up the skates and started watching more hockey and learning about it more, the business side. So. Yeah. Nice.
So that will kind of lead in right into some current talk, right, Josh? You want to go right into that?
Yeah. Do you think the OHL is going to hit? Like, that's the big question everybody's asking.
Yeah, I can't imagine them not hitting. I know I've seen a lot of tweets and stuff about that. It'd be a weird game without hitting, though. I don't know what you guys think, but
I think it's a crock of shit if they don't hit.
We also have opinions, definitely, but we're here to ask you too. But what are you saying, Josh?
You should probably come to me last. I've had a couple pink Whitneys, so I'm like.
What do you say? From a first hand perspective, you're there real close sometimes. I'm sure you have good seating. What do you feel the difference is going to be in the hitting?
Yeah, I think it changes the game so much. If I'm a prospect, an NHL prospect, I don't know if I'd want to play in the OHL. I'd probably want to go overseas because it changes the game so much and could change your development that, like, I don't know. I just can't see them playing without hitting. It just I don't think it would work, and it'd mess up a lot of stuff. So
yeah, that's interesting because we're going to touch on some overseas players after, right, Josh? But
sure.
The notion of going across overseas instead of the OHL is also different because you get paid too. So if you're going to get paid from a professional club over across the seas, why would you? And the NHL is not going to adapt a non-contact system. So why would you practice in a non-contact system? Right.
It's an interesting. There's been a development. Like, you and I, we recorded an episode yesterday, didn't like it, and we canned it. And we talked about this, and then news kind of broke. Doug Ford tweeted out, "I'm excited to work with the AHL to get OHL to get them back to normal and to get them playing with body contact."
Right.
Now that he said that, I think the lady that made the decision, Lisa McLeod, either she's trying to go on a power trip or she had a kid that didn't make the OHL and she's just upset about this, so she's taking it out on everybody else. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to watch the play if they do not hit, which I don't think will happen. I think they will hit. And if they don't hit, it doesn't make any sense because these players are sitting. All three of us have played hockey. We've sat on a hockey bench. You're pretty much sitting on your defense partner's lap or your winger's lap. Like those things are not huge.
They're not very socially distanced.
You've been in the change rooms. You're showering. People are spitting, sweating. There's towels being thrown everywhere. And they're worried about how long is a body check? Half a second?
Could be up to a second if you're rubbing them out.
Right? So, I don't know. Like, the WHL is going to be hitting. The QMJHL is going to be hitting. Right. And the World Juniors are going to be hitting. So, for the OHL to not be hitting, and I believe they're going to be playing in sort of like a hybrid bubble where they're only going to be playing 4 or 5 other teams. So, it would be a ridiculous decision, in my opinion.
Yeah, if COVID spreads, I don't think it's going to spread from a body check. It's going to spread in the room and on the bench, like you said. So yeah, I agree with that.
Right.
What do you think? You said you played Burlington Bulldogs, so it's the Minor Hockey Association, obviously, for those out there wondering. What do you think that this Ontario Hockey League decision will mean for Junior C, Junior A, Junior B, and like Triple A, Double A, Single A hockey? What do you think will happen? And if those minor leagues were to go to non-contact, what do you think the average teenager would say?
Yeah, I think it'd be a lot of change for everyone. I think there'd be a lot of hits by accident, I guess. I don't know how they'd give out penalties for a hit, I guess. I don't really know how that.
Yeah, that's what we were discussing yesterday. We were wondering how it would be officiated, but sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of getting used to for those guys, especially guys that are hitting now and then go to not hitting. It'd be a big change for them. But for the younger guys, I think I forget what year you start hitting, but for those guys, it won't be much difference. I think it'll just be a lot different for the guys that are hitting to stop hitting now and go play. So.
Yeah, I think hitting is a huge part of like just being a teenager and growing up amongst masculinity. I mean, obviously, female hockey doesn't have hitting prior to coronavirus, but male hockey has always had hitting, and it's almost a culture aspect, right? Like you have to have your goons, and you have to have your enforcers, and you have to have the people who set an energy by hitting. So, like, how do you set new energy now, right? Like,
right. I'm gonna stop you there for a second because women's hockey doesn't have hitting, but they have body contact.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you brought it.
And the OHL hasn't said no hitting. They've said no body contact. So what that means is no rubbing a winger out along the board. So that sounds really weird, but you know what I mean? Or no like battles in front of the net or battles in the corner or scrums off a face-off. Women's hockey has all of that. And it's competitive and fast. So like what if they turned around and said, okay, no body checking, but you could be physical? That wouldn't make sense either.
Yeah, I think rubbing out and like grinding along the walls. Like
we really got to call it something else. That sounds super fucking
right. You didn't let me finish. I said rubbing it out and grinding along the walls is a very sexual way to describe how hockey players work in the corners along the boards. And this is where the most and the longest contact is met. Like this is where 5 seconds to 10 seconds, if the ref hasn't blown the whistle, of touching and body contact is happening. And as we mentioned earlier, a half second to 1 second hit is a lot less worse than grinding out and battling for an excessive amount of time. No.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where they go. I think honestly, I don't think the game will be changed. I think we'll see around, I don't know, halfway through December, early January, then come out and say, okay, yeah, you're allowed to hit. You're allowed to be physical in the corners. There'll be battles.
You want to talk about Shanahan's comments?
Yeah. Let me pull them up. Do you kind of want to tee it up? I don't know if you saw them.
Oh, man. Give me a sec.
Yeah. So, no, I got them here. But pretty much Brendan Shanahan. And this was just kind of interesting because I don't know if you guys are involved with Twitter or Leafs Twitter much.
Yeah, you keep me updated.
There's kind of 2 sides to Leafs Twitter. There's the side of reason where they realize that these new young players are going to score goals, which win games. And then there's the side where they just want to see fights and hits and people getting hurt. And they want that back, and they are very vocal about it. And they're not necessarily the best people, but that's a story for a different day. But Brendan Shanahan pretty much said, Yeah, I would rather see a big goal than a big fight. And Twitter kind of had like a heart attack about it because apparently it was out of character for him because, we all know, I'm sure we all know how Shanny played. He was a rock'em sock'em type of player, tough in the corners, tough in front of the net, fighting, penalties in the box. So I just thought it was an interesting show. So yeah, it was really eye-opening to see this. But I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
We got an extra quick. Yeah, I mean, did you see the quote, Jake?
No, I haven't saw it. No.
I'm trying to find it. I forget where I sent it to you, Brandon. I think it was Instagram.
But have you heard about the Mitchell Miller situation there, Jake?
Yeah, I heard about that a little bit. I don't know too much details, but I know what happened there. Yeah.
What do you got recently for us, Josh? What happened?
He signed with a KHL team, SKA St. Petersburg. So he will be joining the team that also employs Bill Peters. And I think we all know what happened with Bill Peters.
And if you don't know, that's...
Look it up.
Yeah, sure.
So that is news. It's disappointing news. I said recently that I hope that guy never plays hockey again because what he did was inexcusable.
That's hockey. Hockey talks, hockey talks.
Right. So, but I guess he will have a chance to continue his pro career in the KHL. Not necessarily the best news, but that's what we have. And
but
it's disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, we really want to take another second out of our time here to mention a great guest in Jake, bringing some crazy stories to our podcast. Wouldn't you say, Josh?
Yeah, no, it was really fun to have. Jake, do you have any final thoughts or anything?
Yeah, I like what you guys are doing here. This is a really cool show, and I think it's gonna go far and succeed. So thanks for having me today. And
that's awesome you say that, man. Let us know if you have anyone else who's interested on coming on.
And we want you back on when hockey starts up.
We'd love your opinion. We could do something regularly with your experience, man. I'm certain about it, and we're all students. I'm sure we could make it work on some analytic levels.
I love analytics. Let me talk analytics all day.
All right, guys, I'm in. Thanks for having me. Good luck.
All right. See you later.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back. That was
sorry about that, guys. I got a couple lunch breaks. Dinner breaks.
Yeah, we took a quick break, but for you guys, it was like not even 2 seconds.
Wasn't anything, but we just had Jake on, and Jake just talked about his touching the cup experience, right?
Yeah, that was. I'm going to throw that in at the end, so we'll hear that at the end. And
so honestly, we're going to talk about some current things, and
yeah, we got.
I see what we're doing here. We're going to go right to the MLB. I got a little bit of lag. Take my Wi-Fi off here. Yeah. And why don't you start us off with the MLB?
Right. So the Jays starting pitcher Ryu was nominated for the Cy Young Award, which what does it do? It shows the most outstanding pitcher in the division that year.
AL, yeah.
In the AL.
And
he was nominated in the top 3. I don't think he's going to win, but it's nice to get the recognition.
So was the Blue Jays manager.
Yeah, he was nominated for Coach of the Year, or Manager of the Year. So, hi, Molson. My dog's in here, so he just wants some attention. But yeah, so we had.
That's some good news if you're a Jays fan.
Yeah. Just nice to see the Jays are getting the recognition they deserve. They had a solid year. I know it was suspended playoffs, but they played well.
What's this about Vladdy?
So did you not see this?
Did you send me this?
I didn't send it to you. I was just wondering if you saw it at all.
No, man. What's this about?
So Vladdy's back home in the Dominican right now, and he posted a photo on Instagram. And I believe it's still up. It's his most recent photo. He posted an original photo of it, and it had him walking down a stairway. Seemingly, he's taken the actual photo down, so I'll have to include it. He was walking downstairs, and you could see in his pocket a clip sticking out from like a Glock or a gun or something. and he hadn't censored it. So somebody must have said something to him because he took down the photo, but then he re-uploaded it with just like an emoji over the gun. So he posted a photo on Instagram of him with a gun in his pocket. I looked it up, and in the Dominican, you are allowed to yield a gun if you have a license, which he has. So he's not breaking any laws, but you just got to look at this from the Jays perspective, if they're going to be happy about this, with one of their star players posting a photo with him with a gun. Not the best look at all.
It is interesting. So, I'd never heard that till today.
So I don't think much is going to come of it because it looks like he's taken the photo down. So I don't think much more is going to come of this.
It was legal in his homeland, like you said, with a permit.
Yeah, so
let's move along to the MLS.
Weird. Yeah, so the MLS is going into their what they call decision day. It's kind of a miracle run story because TFC are top of the league and they have not had one home game. Well, they have actually. Sorry, they have played at BMO Field, but in the second half of the season, they've been playing their games in Hartford, and they are top of the league right now, tied with Philadelphia with 44 points going into the last game of the season. And what the MLS does, and it is beautiful, they set up decision day, so every team is playing on the same day. So you have everyone and every decision decided on decision day. It is probably one of the most exciting days in the MLS because we have playoff spots on the line. We have the league champion on the line who will win the Supporters' Shield, which will be handed out this year. And it's going to be an exciting day because TFC and Philadelphia play at the same time. I wish they played each other. That would be a hell of an exciting game to decide the champion. But yeah, they're both tied with 44 points. So it's going to be an exciting finish. And just to touch on that, because Toronto Sports is, expecting success from this team because we've had success with TFC from the past. They've had like 3 finals appearances. So let's hope, they can pull it off. And it's going to be exciting. And then, either way, they're going down to the MLS Cup playoffs. And I think they're going to make a deep run. So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, well, I mean, any other leagues to discuss or?
I think that's everything. I just want to acknowledge one athlete, and that's Anderson Silva, who fought what seems to be his last UFC fight on the past Saturday. He lost, but one of the greatest UFC fighters to ever step into the ring, and I just want to give him his respect. And there is talk of him going to fight in Bellator or somewhere else. I don't think that's going to happen. He is a UFC legend, a UFC great, and will forever remain that way. So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Oh, I have some breaking news.
Oh, we got breaking news on the podcast. Let's hear it.
Okay, so in the NBA,
don't fuck this up. This is your first chance.
Yeah, if the season was to start on December 22nd, the season would look like 72 games ending in mid-May with a championship finishing on July 22nd. If it was to start on January 18th, the season would be 60 games, losing 12 games. Regular season ends in June. Finals end on August 21st.
Sorry, say that first one again.
December 22nd equals a 72 season. December 22nd equals a 72 game season.
And that ends in mid-May?
July 22nd. No, regular season ends mid-May. Playoffs, finals finish July 22nd.
So they would have 5 months, essentially, to play 72 games.
And then it says the NBPA will vote as soon as this Thursday on the proposal for December 22nd. The growing belief is that a Christmas week start is inevitable.
So I guess on our Friday podcast, we'll be able to talk about that.
So hopefully next time you hear from us, there'll be some exciting news. If you want to see basketball sooner rather than later,
Yeah.
There'll be lots of news actually when we come back. If you're a U.S. citizen, next time you see us,
we just saw. I just saw Joe Biden won Virginia, so
we are sitting through this is happening. This is a moment in history. As we sit here and present to you a podcast, there is an election that will be remembered for the longevity of not only American but world history, I believe.
I just want to take a moment and say this election is probably the biggest one in American history. And as someone who has lived in the States and has owned a citizenship for the United States, make the correct decision, do the right thing, and do not go out there and cause problems, regardless of the result. I think we all know, and we're not going to get political on the podcast, who we want to come out on top of this vote. So let's not let defeat get the better of us if it happens, and just remain
calm
and not
no rioting, no looting. I know,
don't do any of that stuff.
I know too many places that even I am a fan of that are in the States that just get demolished by looting and rioting. It's not fair. No matter who you are.
And I just hope that this election sees a quick result, which, saying out loud, I don't think it's going to. I think we won't know the winner for a couple months because of all the mail-in stuff, and people are going to contest, and it's going to be a bloody fight to the end. So,
well, we're not going to talk about it much. We're going to stay on the sports side of it and hope for the best sports news throughout the week, and hope that the American citizens can come together regardless of results.
Yeah, and I'm sure they will, hopefully. So,
American politics runs a big overlap in American sports, and that is professional sports. And most professional sports are in America, and so the governance of the American government, Donald Trump at the moment, is very impactful sometimes towards the running of this. So you see his comments about NFL, kneeling, LeBron James, all this. It's not a
Donald Trump might be the only reason Colin Kaepernick doesn't have a spot in the NFL.
So this is big, and it has nothing to do with LeBron James.
No.
And I'm not going to talk too much else on it. I mean, is this going to be at the end of the podcast?
Yeah, I did see. I just want to let's end on a light note. Obviously, because we're not a political podcast. I don't think either of us are political. But I did see something that caught my attention. I'm just trying to see it. I'm not going to be able to find it. I thought I sent it to you, but I didn't. It pretty much said, "Oh my god, bro, did we get that?"
Oh my god, your dog said what the?
Just yeeted my closet door off the fucking thing. 1 second.
Your dog did that?
Yeah.
Oh, he looked so damn sorry too. You're gonna love the. You're gonna love the.
It was just some background. It was disconnected anyway. He just walked into it. It's not his fault.
You're gonna love the recording. As soon as it fell, he looked up from the side of the chair and he knew right away.
He's okay. He's laying on the bed now. But I saw that like 500. Yeah, just to end on a. You know what? We don't even need to bring up that fact. That's the perfect way to end.
No, what was that? What was the fact?
528 people in Virginia voted for Kanye West.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Screw it.
So, we'll see you later. Don't get hit by a closet door.
Make sure your dog knows where the mishaps of your house are, because not only can it hurt you, it could hurt them.
Yeah.
PSA.
All right. I think we have our clip for the week.
Clip it.
See you Friday.